In January 1968, a Canadian Forces Otter aircraft broke through the winter ice of Memphremagog and sank to the floor of the lake. Several recovery efforts of the military aircraft were attempted. None succeeded. Then, in 1976, a 5-man crew from Montreal managed to locate the wreckage and raise it 280 feet to the surface from the lake bed. Who were these guys? This is Who Killed Teresa. This story was told to me while I was having a bowl of coffee in Sherbrooke. And when I first heard it, I didn't believe the guy. I thought he'd made it up. At best, he probably conflated a series of events. When I got back to Canada and researched it, I was amazed to find almost word for word. It was pretty much exactly as he told it to me. January 7th, 1968, a Canadian Forces Otter aircraft from the 402nd Auxiliary Squadron, 11th Wing, out of Saint-Hubert Airport near Montreal, was practicing ski landings on Lake Memphremagog in the eastern townships of Quebec. An 18-year-old kid, Rael Bernay, was on the wharf at Georgeville. Georgeville is a village about 12 miles south of Magog. And he watched this aircraft go halfway across the lake, and when it suddenly then one of the ski landings broke through the ice. The aircraft was sinking fast, but it slowed when the wings touched the surface of the ice. Flight Lieutenant Moreau escaped first, momentarily plunging into the frozen water before climbing back onto the ice. The pilot, Flight Lieutenant Evans, wanted to stay with the aircraft. He then realized he couldn't get his door open. Moreau yelled at Evans to get out fast. By this point, the aircraft had sunk to its fuselage. Evans managed to exit along the wings of the plane, joining Moreau on the frozen lake. Risking his life, the 18-year-old kid Bernay jumped on his snowmobile and rode out onto the lake through blowing winds and snow to rescue the men. They only asked me if the ice was safe before they climbed on, he later said. The snowmobile deposited the two airmen at the Georgeville boarding house, where owner Henry McGowan gave them a hot cup of coffee and a change of clothing. McGowan was describing ways to salvage the plane with the two airmen when they heard a tremendous whoomp, which rattled the windows of the boarding house. The men ran to the window and they saw the visible portion of the aircraft above the ice in flames. Henry McGowan said there was a terrific fire for a while, but within 3 or 4 minutes, the plane had disappeared beneath the ice. In the summers, Georgeville was a popular Eastern Township's tourist stop. It still is. Because of the depth of the lake, McGowan doubted the wreckage would disrupt summer boating. The two airmen returned to Montreal the following day, leaving McGowan to wonder if he'd ever get his clothing back. And for now, 1968, that was the end of the story. Over the years, this aircraft became the focus of several salvaging operations, including one by Marine Industries out of Montreal, which reportedly spent $30,000 to locate and raise the aircraft. With that kind of money, one wonders, you could have bought your own aircraft. Then in 1975, Lafitte Salvage, also from Montreal, located the plane and purchased the salvaging rights for $1,000. In June 1976, Lafitte sent a mysterious 5-man crew to raise the wreckage and haul it onto dry land. This latest crew appeared better equipped for the job, using sophisticated closed-circuit television cameras for deep water searching. This salvage crew refused to comment on the motives for attempting the recovery. Some claim the skis alone could fetch anywhere from $6,000 to $17,000, substantial money in the 1970s, but it hardly appeared worth the effort. After hauling the tail section of the fuselage of the de Havilland on shore in Georgeville, the wreckage was towed to a hotel parking lot in Magog. Lead salvager Brian Power boasted, "The best salvage company in Canada tried, and they couldn't do it. But we did." Powers said he and his crew, Robert Chu, Michael French, Michel Villette, and Jean-Paul Saint-Michel, took the, quote, routine job for the challenge, refusing to comment on unconfirmed reports of a safe still being on board in the fuselage. Brian Power is, of course, Brian Powers. And by now, if you listen to this podcast, you should recognize the names Michael French and Bobby Chu. And I wouldn't call anything undertaken by members of the Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club as routine. If you've done your homework, recall that it was only about 6 months after this salvage operation that Powers, French, and Chu, and 2 others, a crew of about 5, were involved in a bar fight where Bobby Chu stabbed 2 patrons at the Mustache Club near the Montreal Forum. There was also speculation that Michael French could have been the subject of the mysterious tattoo VF Frenchie I Love You, carved on the stomach of the murdered 14-year-old girl Teresa Martin in 1969. This is all detailed in last year's series of episodes on the Teresa Martin case. Brian Powers would die 2 years later, gunned down outside his Saint Genevieve home in the summer of 1979, a victim of another biker war that pitted Satan's Choice / the Outlaws against their rivals, the Popeyes / Hell's Angels. Chu died in 2018 at the age of 68 of chronic liver failure. What happened to Michael French is the stuff of biker legend. French was last seen at the Cavalier Motel Bar in NDG in November 1982. West End gang hitman Jackie McLaughlin lived at the Cavalier, where his girlfriend tended bar. Montreal police suspected McLaughlin assassinated French. According to Eddie Callister of the Montreal Gazette, French was found dead with a bullet in his head near a South Shore Ganawaki graveyard. French's murder was rumored to be, quote, a sort of community service for his allegedly murdering 16-year-old Sharon Pryor in late March 1975. Other versions say French was killed for raping the daughter of a cop or possibly a mafia boss. In 1984, Jackie McLaughlin himself was murdered. His remains, alongside those of his bartender girlfriend and his pet dog, were found in a shallow grave outside St. John, New Brunswick. my old stomping grounds. SJ. At the time of the plane salvage in 1976, Satan's Choice, with Powers, French, and Chu as members, were allied with the West End Gang, one of the most powerful organized crime outfits in Montreal. Their rivals, the Popeyes Motorcycle Club, were backed by the Dubois brothers. The Dubois supplied the township region with drugs and controlled organized crime in the region. Lafitte's salvage appears to be a front. There's no record of any such company. I only know that Jean Lafitte was a French pirate who, along with his brother Pierre, ran a smuggling operation trading stolen coins and goods in 19th century Louisiana. So, what were these rivals of the Popeyes and the Dubois brothers doing in Magog in the summer of 1976? I don't know. Maybe they were looking for Memphremagog, the elusive serpent-like cryptid rumored to stalk the waters of Memphremagog. Maybe that was their game. Better still, what were the contents of the plane's safe that salvage outfits would risk time and energy and spend upwards of $30,000 in 1976 money to attempt to recover it? Better still, what was the Canadian military doing on the lake in the first place? If you cross the lake and you go a little further north toward the village town of Magog, you'll come to Chemin-Guerre, the road off of which the body of Louise Cameron was found in 1977. Now, I've visited that place many times, and on one occasion, there was a bunch of us there, and we came upon I swear to God, a cache of military documents stashed in the woods. And I'm talking about like a small mountain of like purchasing records and other documents that someone had attempted to burn and destroy. So what was that all about? What was the Canadian military's relationship with Lake Memphremagog? This is who killed Teresa. New year, new me. Welcome back. I've mentioned it on social media. We're going to focus for the time being back on. Although this was an amuse-bouche palate cleanser. Before we get into many things. But we'll circle around the Quebec toilet for a while before we center on what ultimately will be more stories about sexual murders in the province in the 1970s, early 80s. if you like the podcast, there's a number of ways you can support us. You can follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram. There's a Facebook page. If you look at Who Killed Teresa, or just search my name. My personal Twitter is at JusticeGuy, JUSTUS GUY, Justice Guy. And there's the website, teresaallore.com, TheresaAllore.com. If you go there, and I urge you to go there, because as always, there's great visuals for this story, including the original newspaper articles, so you can see that I didn't make this up. There's a great postcard that I pinched from Mario on his site about the Montreal photos of the Cavalier Hotel Motel, etc., etc. The website has been revamped, and I urge you to go to it. What I think is most interesting is if you go to the website, it's just better organized and formatted. But most intriguing for you will be if you go to the site and click on cases. You are able to sort through information according to offender, according to victims we've covered, according to police jurisdiction, and according to era. Taken a considerable amount of time to catalog the information, to properly give it a category, and also to tag it. You'll also see there a tag cloud that gives you really a vocabulary of what we're talking about. And that's important. Is if you go to the tag, you'll see certain things rise to the top. And what's slowly rising right now are names like Jean-Marc Bedard. Dubois brothers will be rising. Michael French will be rising. I'm kind of tipping my hat here for where we're going. Satan's Choice, these kind of things will slowly gravitate to the top of that tag cloud, and that's all to help you, because we're going to move relatively fast here, and there's not going to be time to explain everything that we're talking about. So all of the podcasts going forward have got extensive links. So if you miss something and you're really interested in it, you can go and look it out. If you want more information on it, you can go to the tag cloud and say, who's this guy, Jean-Marc Bedard? He's Justice Minister. I think I've heard him before. You can click on it. You can see all the stories that refer to him. As I say, building a vocabulary of Quebec in the 1970s is going to be increasingly important. If you're just here for the entertainment, that's cool. I mean, you can listen to a cool story about this salvaging operation by bikers in the 70s, and that's it. But if your interest is more investigation, we're going to offer you more, is what I'd say, and I hope you enjoy that. There's several other things coming that I won't get into today. I think we need to kind of build things here slowly, but you will shortly see what I'm talking about. I think the last place I'll point you to is there is a YouTube channel. If you just search on my name, John Allore, or Teresa Allore, you can find that YouTube channel. I'd like you to subscribe. I ask you to subscribe to that. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That would be helpful. And finally, what I'll say is, as always, I have a Substack account. I think it's John Allore /Substack. All of the stuff I'm talking about, you can find on the website. Go there and you can pin and tag and follow and all that kind of stuff. The Substack is great because it's more of the writing portion of the podcast, and rather than, if you don't like going to a website, about true crime, because you don't want to admit you listen to true crime or read about true crime. If you subscribe to Substack, you'll just get the narrative content in your email box, and you can read it there. Like, I usually post that stuff on a Sunday morning for ease. So that's where we're at right now. Shorter stories. We're gonna end it right here. We're not gonna go to a full hour. I doubt we'll fill a full hour for a while going forward. I can't think of anything we have in the hopper that's going to take that long. It's designed for your commute. It's not designed for a road trip. But if you are doing a road trip, you can just save a bunch of them up and listen to them all at once, something like that. Anyway, enough of my yakking. That's all for today. This has been Who Killed Teresa? I'm your host, John Allure. Have yourselves a great, great day.